CB Ranaweera. He's a lecturer in the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, General Surgeon, Kotalao Defense University.
Thank you very much, Professor Gamini Fonseca, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The research actually we've conducted at the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences is regarding the student responses to ebooks. I mean, to be very honest, there was a funny story why we decided to actually do that kind of research is actually, when I go through my slides, I'll actually explain it. Why do we need ebooks now? It's basically, is it traditional versus change? Because, for example, the reason why we did it was more like when I actually spoke to one of my students to bring me a textbook, actually that student gave me an ebook version of a textbook, actually, because I teach molecular biology. So basically, then I spoke to her, and funny thing was the age gap between that student and me was like 10 years. And for fact, I know I've used traditional hard copy version of those books. But currently, these students actually tend to use e-books, actually, electronic version of those books. And so I spoke to my colleagues, Dr. Chamra, Dr. Lahiru, and Ms. Amali as well, Dr. Amali. And of course, all of us have done our A-levels at the beginning of 2000s. And like the students who are currently we are teaching, 10 years younger, and they tend to use the same books in e-books. And then we thought, hang on a second, is there some sort of cultural shift or some sort of change in reading habits or no? So that is why we thought, okay, let me do research on more like the attitudes of e-books. And I have to be very honest, I mean, when I did the literature search, and this is the only research actually which was conducted in the academic area regarding the e-books. I guess this could be the first one. So hopefully maybe this may lead to a proper research a bit later, but unfortunately I just have to select the study group as the students of Faculty of Allied Health Sciences. The other thing was more like increasing popularity of smartphones, tablets, PCs, and e-book readers. Because if you look at a teenager nowadays, I mean, all of them got smartphones, tablets. I mean, computer literacy is something that they have really mastered at. Because, for example, when I was doing my A-levels, yes, I had a computer, but I never used e-version of a book, anything at all. And even my colleagues who are working with them, I spoke to them, get their ideas, and none of us have actually used e-version of any book, to be very, very honest. But currently, yes, these students, they do use, and I've seen them sometimes while they're traveling on the bus, they tend to read using an iPad. I mean, obviously, that means there's some sort of cultural shift. The other thing was more like, many of the universities across the globe have adopted the concept of e-books. Actually, if you look at it for like Stanford University, half of their library catalog is now e-books, and especially the University of East London, where I did my postgraduate studies as well, the majority books are e-books. For example, like when the exam times comes, basically they give us a username and a password for a database which is completely electronic. Because there's only one copy of hard copy version which is in the library. If you really want, you can go and refer it. But if you really want to take it home, you just have to take the password and username, go home and log into internet and access to that book. That is how people have actually changed. So, and the other thing was more like maybe limited shelving spaces, increasing cost of new building and resources. I mean, obviously it's quite common sense. I mean, obviously because of the current economic situations, even the academic institutes, people tend to invest less in developing library catalogs. Maybe especially problems with the spaces and the money, but the other places like where, for example, yes, if you're struggling with space, but if you still have money, you still can develop your catalog, library catalog, the access to, the access of certain books. So this could be one reason why we should move towards ebooks. And the other thing was more like convenient and easy access for reading materials for everyone, including remote users. For example, if someone asks me honestly now, do I really want to carry a textbook, I would say no. I would rather have an ebook where I can log into the internet, read it when I'm free, and get it done. That is the easier way. So the other thing, the funniest thing was long-term health problems and such as having back pains at a later stage of life. Someone might even wonder how the hell that can be connected to ebooks. But so some research which have been conducted in United States, especially according to American Occupational Therapy Association, students should not carry not more than 10% of their body weight. And they've mentioned clearly, there's a likelihood of developing a back pain is directly proportional to the weight of your backpack. For example, let's assume that your average body weight is like 50 kgs. So that means the maximum weight of your backpack should be what? 5 kilograms. If you exceed more than that, there's a high chance that you will have some sort of back pain at your later stage of your life. For example, like I teach microbiology and molecular biology. One of the most basic books that we use is Ninja Biochemistry. That book itself weighs like 7 kgs. So I take that book from home and I have a laptop with me as well. And the weight actually I'm carrying from home to here is more like roughly like 12 kgs. And I guess my average body weight is like 60. So I am actually expected to carry one. Maximum weight should be more like 6 kgs. But unfortunately, because of the circumstances, I just carry like 12 kgs. So there's a good chance that I may have a back pain later stages. So I don't know. I think more like moving to ebooks would be a really, really good advantage in academia and Sri Lanka anyway. So moving on, objectives of the study. To evaluate the usage of ebooks, to identify the reasons for not using ebooks, to identify whether the student prefer the ebooks or the printed version of these books, and to evaluate if the students are provided with required resources, whether the students will adopt to use ebooks than printed books. So study population. As I mentioned earlier, the study population was made of first-year undergraduate students, 174 students, both male and female, of the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences at KDU. It was assumed that these students have basic information technology literacy skill as they have attended the basic IT training session provided to them during their orientation program. Actually, there's one reason why I thought to select this study group. Because since they've joined KDU until now, they do get the IT training. So I've spoken to the people and they do have really, really good IT literacy. So that study group, basically they know how to use internet. And almost every single student do have a laptop. Almost every single student. Because the thing is, the students who didn't have a laptop right at the beginning, they were provided a laptop. So almost every single student had a laptop. So I thought that we should go for this study group anyway. So the study method was more like we distributed a questionnaire, and it was based on voluntary participation anyway. And then later descriptive statistics were used for reporting purposes anyway. Okay, just moving on. The results. I did not actually put the questionnaire here, but anyway, the student response of bringing textbooks to the classroom. So some of the students, basically 81.6 actually mentioned sometimes they do bring textbooks. And some of them, like 5.8%, they said they never bring any textbooks. The other people, more like 12.8, basically mentioned that they bring textbook all the time to the classroom. The student response, if they have used an e-book on a previous occasion. Yes, 52.3 actually just mentioned, yes, they have used an e-book previously. And only 47% basically said they have not used an e-book. That actually clearly gives us some sort of indication. These students actually have used these e-books before. It's not a new concept to them. Otherwise, I guess, the results should go the other way around, obviously. But for some unusual reason, they've mentioned yes. So that means, obviously, they have used maybe they do not know that they are actually using an e-book, but they have used that. At the same time, then we asked them actually whether the preferred reading version of recommended textbooks. I mean, basically, 56.32 basically mentioned they still prefer the hard copy textbooks, and 39% basically mentioned they prefer electronic textbooks, and 4.6 basically said, I mean, they prefer both versions. So my interpretation for this one was more like the students are actually using ebooks, but you know, it's a slow change basically. They do not want to change radically, I guess. Even including myself, including my colleagues, who are some of them doctors, I mean, we do tend to use ebooks. Actually, we do. But if there's a chance to use a hard copy version of a book, we still tend to go for that. Maybe that is because that is how I'm used to having. But anyway, that's the results. So then the students were asked whether they would more like to use e-version of the recommended textbooks, or if they were available electronically. And I'm not surprised, actually 90% of them said yes. They actually prefer the e-books. And then the students responsible for not using e-books at this time of study, basically, they mentioned like 54% say no e-book facility. So the other thing, as I mentioned, the student responsible for not using e-books at the time of this study, no e-book facility. And the thing is, for example, one might actually say it could be the cost, maybe the lack of facilities, but actually it came up that there's no e-book facilities. And so the conclusions from it, majority of the students have used e-books previously, and it wasn't a new concept to them. Students also think that e-books will be more popular in Sri Lanka, and the students were interested in using e-books more frequently for their study purposes, and by providing them with new e-book facilities will encourage them to use e-books for their study purposes more frequently in a useful manner. Unfortunately, I actually forgot to put one slide there when I was preparing this one. I mean, I actually asked them whether they will use, the slide actually I forgot to put in there. I asked them about their perception regarding the future of e-books in an academic area, in academia, more like in a university. And it came up like 94% of them, they do believe the e-books will play a major role in an academic environment. So they tend to use e-books more. And if you look at it, for example, like Etisalat, the mobile network provider, they've actually opened an e-book store like last year. So there's a clear message. People have identified, yes, there's a cultural shift. There's a change in people's reading habits and things. So we should open our doors for like more like concepts like new e-books facilities, especially in academic area, I guess. But having said that, we really do need to have a larger study groups, and you should speak to, more like academic people who are involved in academia and get their perceptions as well regarding e-books. But I guess there's a clear cultural shift towards e-books. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.